So it's my honor today to introduce the class, the graduation speaker, which is a former employee of the Department of Corrections. 3 years ago, when I was the deputy commissioner and the secretary was the commissioner, we put out a recruitment for an MD. Now, trying to get an MD on a state salary is really tough, but we were lucky. And I remember walking into the commissioner's office at the time and saying, I actually think we hit gold on this one, because Dr. Biron applied for the job of health services director. We were very sad when she expressed a desire to go back into private practice and has actually left the department 1 week ago today. Dr. Biron really embodies what we look for in an employee. She is tough but compassionate. And those are the things that we look for. She embodies people can change, and she believes it, and she does it in a way that's tough. She even diagnoses the commissioner from time to time with things and creates treatment plans, and so she I know this personally, by the way, but without too much, I'll introduce Dr. Burrough-Biron.
Just open my handy-dandy Department of Justice valise, which I got from attending a conference. Those people have money. We don't give things like that in the department. But we do something better. We give you our support, and we give you our confidence. And I still say we, because it's only been a week since I left. I resigned about 4 or 5 months ago, and I've been crying regularly since then. I've told the commissioner and the deputy commissioner that I was not going to cry today, and I plan to keep that promise. So I hope that I will leave you with some words that will inspire you, words that will give you something to think about, and words that will let you know how very proud we all are of you. I was really pleased to be asked to speak with you today. Not merely pleased, really honored. I was surprised, actually, when Commissioner Polito asked me to speak to you. I thought, wonder what I'm going to say. I really want to try to say something that someone might want to hear. And I always have a lot to say. Not necessarily does anyone want to hear it. So I worked on this one. I really felt honored and I felt humbled, because you all have chosen a career, a profession that I admire and think very highly of. Yours is a profession, I think it's a calling almost, that does what no other calling or profession does. You all stand alone. And why? Because you are not, for the most part, nor have you been, and you may not be in the future, professionally trained as law enforcement, as medical or mental health professionals, as educators, mentors, lawyers, ambulance drivers, ministers, rabbis, or imams. But indeed, that is what all of you are, or will be at some time. There are very few jobs that call upon us to serve so many roles and to perform them all as well as you will be called upon. You perform, and you will perform all of these, and there are people here amongst you, the old ones I'll call them, who've been around a long time. Jay Simons, Dave Turner, Anita Carbonell, Phil Fernandez. They're sitting back there. They've been around a while, Jen and Heather. And they've performed these roles in many ways as well. You're going to do them sometimes in an atmosphere that is highly charged, even extremely volatile, and at times actively exploding around you. Unfortunately, sometimes all too often, those for whom you perform these very difficult tasks and multiple services are unaware and seem to be not very appreciative. The public on whose behalf you perform so very diligently and so professionally sometimes is equally unaware and equally unappreciative. However, I can assure you that there are many, many who you will take care of and who are in the public, outside of your families, and those in the department who are aware of what you do and who do appreciate what you give of yourselves on a daily basis, despite what it may appear at times. How do I know this? I know this for a fact because for the past 7 years or so, I have worked within corrections, and for more than half of those 7 years, I have worked providing direct services to inmates, and at times to correctional officers, and at times to commissioners, secretaries, deputy secretaries, Mr. Lawhorn, and anyone else, several of others in this room, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I consider myself a career correctional professional. I'm board certified in family practice, licensed in Vermont and Massachusetts. I hold a nursing degree and a certificate in mediation. But I chose corrections because I like it. I chose it because it's a place where you can do a lot of good for a large number of people. You're surrounded by people of all backgrounds, all races, all religions, all colors, all genders. It's an amazing place. It's a place of great camaraderie, of great support. I'm presently on hiatus, having retired from the department just a week ago. It was a job that I loved despite the multitude of challenges and no small amount of stress, brought on not necessarily by the job, but by the public's impression of the department, the media's insistence on emphasizing all that went wrong and generally none that went well. And that happens on a daily basis. And unfortunately, sometimes those who lead the state, our legislators, unfortunately at times seem to have a willingness to listen to those who know least about the Department of Corrections, rather than ask those who know most. And those are those of us, those of you, who work within the department. I have grown increasingly frustrated and angry each passing day by this kind of attitude. The department is besieged by those who make a living making sure the public is aware of everything that goes wrong and little that goes right, and the department is advertised. However, all of you need to know that when this happens, those people who are advertising the negative are doing so at the risk of creating a negative and potentially hostile environment for those of us who work within the department.